So I know from experience that legacy is very important to you. It's very dear to your heart. Would you like to tell our audience a little more about what legacy means to you?
Once you talked about legacy, you placed me in a certain age category, because the boy, 15 years old, was not concerned about legacy, believe me. So once you are, yes, of course. I mean, that's part of human vanity, I think. People write because they want to leave something. Yeah. People paint because they want to leave something behind. Yes. They want to
something
be remembered.
To live on.
They want to be remembered. Legacy and for a CEO is one, and I would say how the facts will be told. You have the three components. Okay. Your customers, employees, shareholders. And you need to make the three happy. The legacy is what you create. Today, for instance, EITC, more known as DO, is really one of the most important companies in this country, and 14 years of service. Every year we are among the 50 top valuable companies in the Gulf and in the Arab world. So that's one fact. Okay. And the most important, one of the things I'm very happy, we have been 5 years in a row getting an award on, best working environment from the Gallup. From Gallup. That means that I must have done something right. Okay. For the employees, because they will remember this legacy. Yeah. And before that, I was in Egypt, and the company I created as well from scratch was called Mobinil. Then it became, a few years ago, it became Orange Egypt. So Mobinil, we have this group, and the link that these employees have together, 22 years after, the way they're bonding together, the friendship, the culture, the way they remember these days, that's legacy. Yeah. And you want to keep that. Now, very important as well, I should have started with this in your legacy, because everything is not work, is your children. Your relation with your wife, with the mother of your children themselves, the way they interact between each other, the way they are as well living their personal life. Have you been there for that? Have you created moments where they will remember these moments always after as something? And that as well is very important to me as a legacy.
So over the course of all these adventures, Osman, I'm sure there were times when you felt you're stuck in a rut and going nowhere. What is your key motivator? How do you pull yourself through the darkest hours?
Let me answer this question by giving you just one example. In the first years before I became a CEO, actually, as I said, it was in the US, and I was in charge with some other of my colleagues from the leadership team to ensure the acquisition and the merge with a company, between a company we were based in France and a company in the US. And we acquired this, but we acquired part of a group, part that was in the Macmillan Group. This was a publishing thing, but it was in the online information that became the internet actually after, because that was the very beginning of the internet, 93, 94, the information highway, Al Gore. This is where I had this sensitivity to the internet before even going to the mobile world. And I had the terrible privilege of being in charge of deciding from a team of people who we will keep to continue and who we will not keep, because actually, as I said, we were taking part.
Yeah.
So the commercial team was kind of rationalized, and they were doing the sales and marketing for both products,
Yeah.
but we were taking only part. And we didn't. So from 70 people, let's say, we were keeping 35, 40,
Okay.
and the others. And the others were made redundant, so going to their severance,
Yeah.
etc. In the US, severance can be abrupt
Okay.
as compared to Europe, where the social protection, specifically
Yeah.
France.
Yeah.
So we were not. So I had this terrible task
Mm.
to decide.
Okay.
And my CEO said to me, no, it's you. You are managing the entire commercial globally. So I interviewed in 3 days or 4 days, 70 people.
Wow.
And I saw people that were really eager to
Yeah.
convince me
Yeah.
that they're good, that because this is otherwise it's the unknown.
Yeah.
I was 37,
Wow.
no, 36, 37
Okay.
in my really, and it was tough. I used to finish the day, go to my hotel, and really feel that it's not fair. And you have people that have been working in this company for 12 years, 16 years, and they were telling me, and they will be told just, okay, pack,
Yes.
and you will leave tomorrow or
Yeah.
at end of business day. So this is where you start taking, and you ask yourself, is there anything I can do differently? So the idea, to answer now your question, every time you are there, the idea that you are diagnosing what you're doing, and is there something I could have done differently? Am I guided by the right principles?
Yes.
And sometimes, often, there is a contradiction of what you want to do from a human point of view and what is your obligation vis-a-vis your shareholders.
Yeah.
Let's face it. This is one of them.
Yes.
But once you frame that, once you understand that, I think that the darkest hours, as you can say, you have a kind of frame that guides you.
Okay.
You have something that guides you in, no, I'm doing the right thing. There is not something else I can do. Actually, if somebody else was doing this, probably these people would not. So am I taking care at the maximum of, but on the other hand, you have a responsibility to the shareholders.
Yeah.
You accepted the job.
Yeah.
You're paid for the job. So you need to
balance.
But that was always something, that. The other thing is you put things in relativity. You say to yourself, okay, listen, this is the job. But at the end, look at what's happening in the world. When we were kids, this is something actually that all parents, I think, when somebody is complaining, they tell the child, don't complain because the people there,
they don't have food.
You put things in relativity.
Yeah.
And you think, after all, I'm in good health. My family is in good health. The people I love are in good health. Things are happening. So at the end, and that helps you as well, having this distance and this altitude when you go the next day to work and when you have to take some tough decisions, etc. You need to have this intellectual independence. The last thing, and I use this term, intellectual integrity. Don't tell yourself stories. Try to. In one side, how many people make the drama for themselves, and how many people they try to sometimes just lighten things in a totally unrealistic way. Be totally honest with yourselves about why you're doing certain things, why you're reacting like that. That will be felt by people around you.
Yes.
And that will build the circle of trust. That will create this spiral of trust. So these are a little bit of the things that I believe.
So you said earlier that a CEO has to be a storyteller, and I know from working over a decade with you that you are one of the best storytellers I know.
I like it.
Yeah.
I enjoy it.
So is there any story that is not so well known about a person or an incident that really impacted your life that you'd like to share with our audience?
Well, I think that what I just mentioned about the situation I was in, more than 25 years ago, the one in the US.
Yeah.
Few people know that, but this was really something that impacted me strongly and drove certain of my beliefs and ethics in this. So that's something that few people know. The other things are about knowing yourself. You discover yourself the more you do certain things. There is no particular incidents, but maybe what people don't know about, they know the storyteller, but my stories are always on the work and the world side, and the world of not necessarily social impact, but it's around the internet, telecom, the digital space, the transformation, all that. I have a lot of thoughts and readings on the way societies are transforming, on the way language is now. I look at the way people talk, people express themselves. It's really fascinating.
Yes.
The things that are happening. I still have this passion for literature. Unfortunately, I do not have enough time. I'm hoping that once I step down from my executive role, as announced, I will be having more time. More time for this.
Yes, I remember you said you always loved poetry, and when you speak in Arabic, it used to really be something to note that you wouldn't use a single word of English because your love of the Arabic language is so deep.
Unfortunately, the younger generations, I noticed this, they don't have knowledge of the richness that's Arabic, whether morphology, syntax, etc. now. But isn't it the case
with every language?
Every language. Emojis are gaining on any language. So we have to
soon we will do away with words.
We're back to hieroglyphs. No, it's a way of expression.
Yes.
Then we went into the sophistication, depth. With social media, we're moving. One of my titles is from depth to breadth. Because you will not express something as accuracy or with the minutiae of any language. I'm sure that in all the languages, all the culture, you have this. But the difference is you will have billions of people understanding more or less the same thing in 2 or 3 emojis. Actually, in one of my and some of my keynotes, I use one line of Arabic poetry and write this line into 2 emojis, into
That's
2
brilliant.
emojis, and transform it and say, is this the next poetry in the digital age?
That's a brilliant
So
thought.
that's
really good. And so everyone knows Osman Sultan, the CEO, pretty well. What about Osman, the person? You've already expressed your interest, your love of literature and Arabic. Any other passion or hobby or dream that you have for what you can, that's not related to work?
Like some people, they have this thing in retirement where easy, peaceful retirement. I always said, whatever I'm doing, whatever job, and I hope that I will always have something occupying my mind. Because combining 2 things, I wanted to be the owner of a restaurant somewhere in a nice place, where people without any constraints of making this restaurant profitable.
Okay.
Just, I can afford for this restaurant to lose money.
Okay.
Just to have friends just coming, having a wonderful chef that, you just, so every day you're discovering new culinary things, and having in the evenings people for traditional Arabic music and traditional Arabic poetry. There is a format of music that is called tarab in Arabic, which is a transport of the soul by music. Where people sit and it's like they're transported by this music. It's classical instruments, it's singing plus, and just enjoy that.
That would be lovely.
But these are, I think everyone have dreams like this.
Dreams are food for the soul.
Food for the soul. And it's not only, if you notice, there is a chef as well.
Yeah.
So not only food for the soul. There is a real chef.
Food for the stomach is very important.
For everything, yeah.
Now that was a mini MBA. I learned so much, and I'm sure you did too. Just remember, you heard it all right here on PowerBytes. Thank you so much, Osman. It was a pleasure having you here.
Thank you. The pleasure is mine.